Welcome to the realm of heroes and monsters. Story time with your host, AP Fuchs. Stories of intrigue, stories of horror, stories of superheroics, stories of monsters. Get ready, the thrill ride begins.
Welcome to a new episode of the what? Roham, right? Realm of Heroes and Monsters. Story time with me, your host, AP Fuchs. I like that Roham because it sounds Lord of the Rings-ish. You know, Rohan, remember then? That was an awesome battle. Anyway, welcome to the show. We are seriously coming up on the near end of Flash Attack, the short story collection that we've been reading from since season 1, Flash Fiction. So, as a recap, season 1 was half of Flash Attack. Season 2 was longer short stories that lasted, depending on word length, somewhere between half an hour to 40 minutes. And now we're back finishing off Flash Attack with short Flash Fiction again. So we are almost at the end of the book. I really hope you had a good time with it. And of course, I'm inviting you, if you'd like to support this podcast, and you've heard the stories, if you like them, grab a copy of the book, put it on your shelf, say I listened to all those things on tape. How old am I? Internet? Does internet have tape? Tape? Nope. Okay. Internet's all weird stuff traveling through the air, which I don't understand. And I find it really bizarre, actually, that information could literally leave a phone, travel magically through the air, wind up on some other piece of hardware, which then sends it again through the air to somewhere else. I don't want to talk about it because that's just silly business. But if you want to put something in the comments about it, by all means, go ahead. But anyway, we're back with story time. We got a torturous type story today, and I would like for you to tune in to hear that one when it comes up. So we're going to go into story before the story. That's first, and then you're going to hear a story called Succumb. Welcome to Story Before the Story, where this season we're exploring stories in everyday life and how stories are everywhere all the time, no matter what. So this one, I'm going to call this little segment Rewind. What is Rewind? Well, let's talk about Rewind. We did talk about memories and that kind of stuff and how those are their own stories, and there's a big explanation onto why, and that you can check out the episode on that. But the Rewind is kind of like a... when you're watching a movie, for example, and for whatever reason you lose touch with it, you reach for your drink or your popcorn or whatever it might be, or someone calls, and then you miss something, and then you have to rewind to see what happened. So we've all done it, and we do that with ourselves, right? We experience our lives, and then there's times where we stop for a second and we actually go into our heads and we press rewind. And we review what occurred previously. It's like a videotape. It's weird, right? And I say videotape. Look how old I am. But look, we do that. And from that rewind, we kind of do a story in reverse first. It's kind of loose and scrambled, no different than when you rewind something. I'm going to use the VHS example. When you rewind on VHS, what is it? It's a scramble going backwards. But you do get a glimpse of what you missed. But then, of course, when you go back to watch it again, then, of course, you're going to see it in real time and what you missed, and you're going to get your information so you can proceed with your movie. But it's the same thing with life, right? We do this little rewind in our head where we kind of skip through the items, backtrack. Okay, point of origin, stop. And then we all of a sudden review it as if we're watching that scene that we missed from that movie, in this case, our lives, again. What happened to me today? Why is things turning out the way they are? I'm not quite sure. And then we do the backtrack, and then we follow it through. We review the story in our head, story of our day, to get to a conclusion as to why we are wherever we are at that particular point in the day. And we're treating life like a story. In this case, we're treating it like a movie, and movies are stories. And we do the rewind tactic to feed into that. And I just find it amusing that human beings use tools like that, story tools, to review their day. It's interesting. But anyway, I just wanted to point out the rewind, that we all do it, that we all push pause at some point, and we have to backtrack on sort of skip fashion and then review again so that we could follow the narrative, so that we know where we are at that particular point in time when we finish the narrative so that we can conduct ourselves accordingly forward. So we all do the rewind, and the rewind is a method of storytelling. It happens in movies. They use the rewind in what capacity? Flashbacks, right? So same idea. People are stories. We're all stories. We're hooked on stories. We can't help ourselves but deal with life through stories. Story, 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 story. And speaking of stories, here comes up one now. Go listen. Succumb. You know, I can't keep doing this, Matt said. Please, I beg you, let me go. You know what will happen if I do that, the man in the black shroud said. Matt had never seen the man's body, only the rough and tattered dark hooded cloak that merely revealed a gaunt face with sunken eyes. No more. I can't take it anymore, Matt said. No more. Then your family dies. Please, let them go. I'll do anything. That's what you said after I first took them, and I gave you your anything. The anything. The nightmares, the tormenting dreams, the torture so real Matt swore he was awake and not asleep when it happened. 3 years of nightly torment. 3 years of not knowing if the hooded figure told him the truth and if his family was really alive. His wife, Allison, perfect in every way and then some. His sons, Matt Jr. and Michael. 3 long years of not seeing their precious faces. 3 long years of them growing up somewhere without their father and at the mercy of a madman. I can't. My head, my heart, Matt said. Do something else to me. Night is when I come. You know this, and you know the punishment for trying to stay awake. Matt did. He remembered trying to outsmart the dark man with energy drinks and copious amounts of coffee and trying to get his doctor to give him something that would boost his energy levels so sleep would be minimal. It worked, but for a short time. It was once the stuff wore off and sleep overtook him did Matt find himself hanging from chains with this boogeyman cutting into him with a rusted machete, with him sawing and chopping off limbs only for them to grow back so Matt would suffer the agony all over again. The penalty lasted 2 months. Lesson learned. But there was one thing Matt knew. The boogeyman needed him. He was like a drug to the hooded figure, gave him his fix of nightly torture. Out here in the waking world, the boogeyman couldn't be satisfied, it seemed. He needed the land of dreams to become the terror he was. Needed someone to comply. Not anymore. Matt decided he'd leave the room and quietly off himself. Then, and only then, would the boogeyman lose his source. I know your thoughts, the boogeyman said. I also know you're thinking of killing yourself will stop me. Listen carefully. If you die, they die. Your family will be gone, and an entire legion of my kind will ensure they suffer until their last breath. They'll be tormented while awake, and when they sleep and give into the darkness of pain, they will awaken our world and suffer 10-fold, 100-fold. You are mine, Matt. They are mine. The hooded figure came over to him. He outstretched a bony hand, and try as Matt might to sway it away, he couldn't raise an arm to do so. The trance was already beginning. The boogeyman touched his forehead. Sleep, human, sleep, and do this anything you promised. Darkness closed in around Matt's vision, and when his sight returned, fire surrounded him, and his body alit with searing agony. A pit. He was in some kind of pit. His flesh crackled and burned, and he fell to his knees. Screaming, he tried crawling to the pit's edge, only for the boogeyman who stood on its ledge to push him back down with a hot iron spear, one that plunged into his shoulder and ripped into his flesh. No, no, Matt whispered, then gritted his teeth from the pain. Yes, Matt, yes, the boogeyman said. Come crawl again, and let the cycle repeat. Matt's burning limbs moved over under the boogeyman's spell. He crawled, he climbed, the spear plunged in, he fell back down. Over and over and over, Matt's screams overriding the roar of the flame. Welcome to After the Credits. So we're back again with more, random crap at the end of the episode. You know what's funny about these After the Credit things is I always have to think of something that's something amusing. And even if that amusement is purely you looking at me like an idiot or listening to me sounding like an idiot, that's good enough. Because at least you get a chuckle out of it, right? So roll with it. It's good to have a sense of humor. I wanted to quickly touch on real fast. I'm really getting involved on the side here behind the scenes on that Axiom Man figure Kickstarter / Indiegogo effort that we're going to do. The world stage has calmed down a little bit, at least right now, but of course we got a loose cannon out there, so who knows what's going to happen. But right now things are now getting more in line with the ability to launch the campaign without it affecting you. And that's always been my big concern, because I don't want this nonsense that's happening on the world stage to affect you as an Axiom Man fan. That's not fair. That's wrong. And I'm not going to let Axiom Man get beat by some schmuck. So that being said, things are coming together. I hope you are interested in the campaign. I hope you're interested in an Axiom Man figure. It's a great way to support the character. It's a great way to support the book effort as well. And I hope that you could get this collectible piece, because as of right now, I believe it's going to be finite unless there's a massive demand. So it's going to be finite. So we're talking about, I think, 300 pieces total. So it's a very collectible item in that respect, because we're going to be using it as a catalyst to move on to some other stuff as well. So yeah, get ready for the campaign is coming. I wanted to put that plug out there now so that you can start planning ahead. And again, we're not going to let our superhero get beat by the real world. We're going to overcome it with super wisdom and super strength. And by super strength, I'm referring muscling through and getting it done. Stay tuned.